Hi, guys.
See it.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dax Rice. We are here in the chapel of Perrysburg First Church, bringing you our service this morning. As you can see, I have two people who lost the toss. Darrell and Terri Gill. They are going to be helping us out this morning. Let me preface this by saying we have no idea what we're doing.
We
We
don't.
have no idea what's happening, but it's we're going to do our best, because you know what? I think the apostles pretty much felt that way on day 41. They're like, what do you want to do? I think we should do stuff. So, and they were just fishermen and tax collectors and other sorts. So we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best here on Facebook Live. So we hope that we bring you some sort of semblance of the message of God. We're going to start off with a little bit of prayer. First and foremost, if you were tuning in expecting to see Pastor Jody, sorry, you got me. So we are praying for Dan Packard this morning. Dan Packard unfortunately has a twisted intestine. Mm-hmm. Is that what's happening?
That's
twisted intestine.
Surgery.
Yeah, last night they had to be rushed to the hospital. So we're going to pray for the Packard family, and we're just going to pray for a lot of things. And I'm going to hand it off to my twin brother from another mother right here, Darrell Gill. He's going to lead us in some prayer. Darrell?
Shall we all pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning in some very different circumstances than we normally do on a Sunday morning. But you know the outcome of all of this. We're in confusion, in disarray, but we know you know what's going to happen. We ask that you watch over us, the small group here in the chapel this morning, that you watch over our church family that's at home today watching us, and that you watch over the United States and the world. Lots of things going on that we're concerned about, but we know we put it all into your hands, and you will be with us. All this we pray in your Son, Jesus Christ's holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And I can see that there are quite a few of you online right now and giving me messages and things like that. We thank you, Nancy Slackhouse from Perrysburg, Ohio. Thank you very much. We thank you, Mary Sherman, for being with us from yes, Perrysburg, Ohio. Thank you very much. So, if we lose the stream, don't worry. We're going to have the whole, I guess you call this a service. We're going to have it on
abbreviated.
Very abbreviated. We're going to have it all on our social media network. So, like I said, just be patient with us, and we're just gonna do our best. We're gonna do our best, and for our Lord, and so on and so forth. So, I'll tell you what we're not gonna have. We're not gonna have any hymns, because
Darrell and
I may break into song, but
if you want to chime in, you can go ahead and request not to have Darrell sing if you would like. Bill Shug from sunny Florida, welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is totally inappropriate, but I'm just so excited to have. We're just so happy to have you. I'm going to embarrass my two other friends here. My mother, Talonda Cronfield, and the man who wears denim better than anybody else I know of, Dan Cronfield. They're going to be here in moral support, and right now, Mama Cronfield's giving me the cutoff sign. So, see, that's the problem for not being on camera. They can't see what you're not or not doing. So, we're not going to sing any hymns. Sorry, Darrell. We're just going to basically get into the living word. And that's going to be read by Terri Gill. Terri, would you please go ahead?
Sure. We have two scripture readings today. The first one is from 1 Kings 19, 11 through 13. He said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of sheer silence. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Then came a voice to him that said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" From Mark 5, verses 25 through 34. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better, but rather grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." Immediately her hemorrhage stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease."
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Terry. So basically how this is going to work is usually we have a sermon that happens after this, but I kind of figured since there wasn't really a congregation, it would just be me in this square box reading to you, and numbers would be dropping significantly. And, nobody wants to see this right on their computer. So I found two very good looking people, two very happy couple that I want to kind of just have a little discussion with them, and maybe we'll take away something from this. So I'm going to read some dates. I'm going to read some dates to you, and you tell me if you know what happened on these dates. And if you do, that's fantastic. If you don't, we'll move on.
I'm pretty smart. So
All right, you know what? I have no doubt of that. That's why you've got the center chair now. That's all right. So August 24th, 1814.
The Great Plague of Black Swamp.
Not even close. But you know what? Much like generations past, we're going to give you a trophy for trying. Anybody from our studio audience? On that date, Washington, D.C. was burned by the British.
Oh.
Okay.
That was my second guess.
Was it?
was never good in history.
Everybody gets one chime in, and then that's it. April 14th, 1865.
1865.
I was not here.
Gettysburg Address.
A little bit after that. Yeah.
I'm two for
Anybody?
two.
Anyone?
On the barrels?
No. Abraham Lincoln was assassinated.
Oh, I should have known that.
Yeah. You weren't there.
I was not
You
there.
weren't there. You forgot your tickets? You weren't there. Okay. August 29th, 1929.
1929.
I was gonna,
There you go.
Yes.
Give Mama Crownie the big can of corn. Very good job. Stock market crashes, October 29th, 1929. December 7th, 1941.
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor. Very good. Very good. Oh, we're getting better.
Mm-hmm.
November 22nd, 1963.
JFK.
Yeah.
John Kennedy.
On campus.
September 11th, 2001.
The Twin Towers.
yes.
The Twin Towers, the terrorist attacks on
And
Washington, and the plane went down in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Do you think that March 2020 will be added to that list? I mean, think about it. Right now, we are obviously in a completely unforeseen circumstance. It's unprecedented. It's never, ever happened before. And this is, the dates I read for you were pretty much American-centered. September 11th, that seemed to be more of a global event. But this thing, it's worldwide. Do you think that March 2020 will be added to that list? Will we look back and go, wow, oh my gosh, will that be this generation's Kennedy assassination? Will it be this generation's Pearl Harbor attack? Will it be that time when we look back at this moment of history and go, wow, where were you when you learned that, you know, all of this was happening?
Everything was closing.
Yeah, everything was
We've
closing.
had widespread pandemics and widespread things happen, but they've never been on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
and the communication is out there so much now
Mhm.
that this is unprecedented
It is.
because of that.
You know what, I have to agree with you, because even, you know, I remember September 11th, the discussion took over everything.
Right.
But I think there was really, at least in my recollection, and I'm part of Generation X, that it really just dominated the culture.
Yep.
It just dominated the culture. And the thing is, we didn't have social media back then.
No,
You know, I don't remember.
but it was still a huge scare.
Absolutely. And the thing is, and that's a good point, nobody knew what was going
Right,
on.
right.
Nobody knew what was going to happen next. And as I was looking at these dates that were happening in history, I have to commiserate with the people that were part of it, because nobody knew what was going to happen next. I mean, people were absolutely out of their minds. You know, first president assassinated. What is going on? Who was, you know, we had Pearl Harbor, you know, we knew who was behind that, but what do we do? What is going to happen next? John F. Kennedy, everyone, I mean, I wasn't born then, but you guys probably knew where you were, what the sights were, what the smells were. You know, I can't remember what I did for my last birthday. I can't. I'm sure it's wonderful. I'm sure you did a great job, Nicole. Thank you so very much, my beautiful wife. But I can't remember. I have no idea. But you asked me where I was on September 11th when I heard the planes headed, and when that first tower fell, I knew exactly where I was.
You're talking about the news.
Yes,
This could maybe possibly be part of God's plan.
that is
It could be
absolutely
part
true.
of Revelation 13. It could be day one.
It absolutely could be. But then we've also, you know, it just seems like there's always been that moment where actually even people took it out of God's hands and put it in their own hands and ended the gift of life. You know, they said, I'm out. I have no more money. I am going to jump off of the building.
Exactly.
There's nothing after
Right.
this. You know, it's funny, and I'm not downplaying anybody who is going over, you know, to the other side. You know, if you're sitting in your house right now with the tinfoil hats on and stuff like that, you know, hey, you know, whatever gets you through your day. But right now, I think we need to put more of our faith in God than we need to put it in this. You know, and yes, this, I mean, it seems silly, but this is a gift from God. It really is. Okay, we're going to trust the greatest and bravest and brightest minds. They said, just do this.
Right.
But there's got to be something more. There's something more. So as I was looking through all of these dates, what do all these dates have in common? What do they all have? And I'm talking even before the burning of Washington, the Black Plague, the Crusades, everything, is this. And this is the name of my sermon, more or less, whatever this is. God didn't call the equipped, He equipped the called. So God didn't call the equipped, He equipped the called. And I think that it is very important to remember that, because as we get farther and farther away from these events in history that we think, what is going to happen next? You know, we struggled knowing when Washington, D.C. burned down. I mean, this is a major event. You know, this is a young, fledgling country. You'd think that we would still have celebration and remembrance about it, but we don't. You know, about Abraham Lincoln assassinated, Pearl Harbor, you know, the President of the United States said it's going to be a date that lives in infamy, but we just kind of, oh yeah, that kind of thing. But those events in our own lives that we have, Kennedy assassination, September 11th, we pass along those stories. J.R.R. Tolkien of Lord of the Rings, he once wrote, and some things that should not have been forgotten were lost. History became legend, and legend became myth. And I'm afraid sometimes we will forget you know, that God is still there. He is still equipping, you know, the greatest doctors and stuff like that, but us, you know, us, of course. So I kept thinking, where is God? Where is God in all of this? You know, 3 weeks ago, you know, of course, in beautiful Ohio weather, when, you know, it's sunny and 60 on Monday, and then Tuesday we have a snow day, and, I would argue that Ohio probably has the best change of season. Probably the best and the most beautiful.
agree.
We are the most versatile people, I think, in this country. The great state of Ohio. It just seems like we are always ready, you know. The winter coats are right there next to our shorts, right? We are prepared. But, you know, I see God, you know, when you're in a good mood.
I'm always in a good
You're
mood.
always in a good mood. You know, Darrell,
Of
I've been to his house. If you haven't been to Darrell's house, I mean, it is gorgeous. Gorgeous home.
Everybody should
You haven't
come.
been to Terry, you know, and it's only gorgeous because Terry is there. But, you know, I'm sure that you look upon your property. You have a beautiful, what is it, a lake, a river?
Yeah, small lake,
You know, you see that, and I know from your Facebook posts, you have said, you know, what, can you
Appreciate
share some of that when you're just like,
Oh, just the fact that you look out at nature and see what God has put in front of you. That just, it's relaxing, it's calming, it's, even in these crazy times we're in right now, we can go outside and look at the lake and then the trees and all that and nature and know God's with us. That God is still there because of all of that, because the animals running through the fields.
And it's calming.
It kind of brings back to this craziness that, it's not that crazy. God's
And we're
God's
blessed.
got us.
And we're blessed.
Yeah, we're blessed.
Yes.
Yeah, heck yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk off camera just a little bit. You guys have a beautiful home as well.
Oh,
Been there
yeah,
many
I'll say.
times.
Yeah.
You know, just, I mean, I know more than often than not when Porthos the cat gets out, you know, Porthos gets out, you know, the majesty of everything is, and you guys, you can see it all, and then the corn grows, and then you just kind of see that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's just, it really is. But then, when things get tight, when things get hard, and I'm just not talking about, you know, just not just financially, not just within the government, you know, with our health, with our kids, with those kinds of things, we wonder, where is God in that? And at first, I think, you know, it's just like, oh, okay, God's got it. But as it goes on,
It's hard.
yeah. So I know that, you know,
It's easy sometimes to be a good Christian when things are going well.
right.
And when things are not going well, that's really when you have to be a good Christian. That's when you have to say, okay, things are not going the best. And right now, if you're worried about being ill and this virus, it's tough. It's tough to be worried and put all your faith into God. But that's the time you really need to.
Exactly.
More so than the good times, than when
Sure.
things are going well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, and especially when things kind of get worn down a little bit.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
it's just like our humanity takes over the voice of divinity. At least what I think, you know, and it's just, it's like, and then things start tripping, you know, and then you start to watch the news a little bit more, or you start to listen to a friend a little bit more, or I heard that, you know. I remember on, like, you know, just going back to 9/11, like when nobody knew what was going on, we had no information. It was just like, what's going on,
Right.
you know.
How did this
It was,
happen?
wow, how did this happen? What? Oh my God! What happened in what happened in this part of the country? What, in Pennsylvania? Oh my, nobody knew. Nobody. So you get into speculation,
Right.
and so some people say, well, you know, and this seems funny, and it's funny and tragic at the same time. Somebody actually had to post during the Corona epidemic, drinking bleach will not help you
I did
prevent
see that.
the virus, you know? And it's just like, is this really something we need to discuss? But you know, some people, you know, they start to hear, you know, it's, you know, I heard it's really the you know, whatever product company, they're blah, blah, blah. You know, and that's, to me, it's just like, if there was one clear and concise message about what hope is, I don't think we're going to find it on Fox, CNN, or MSNBC.
Right.
I think we're going to have the best and the brightest. I think people, and believe me, social media is wonderful. I mean, but it's like fire. You can cook with it or you can burn by it. You know? So a lot of people are thinking, if God can just cure somebody in a word, why is this happening? Why is this all happening? You know? And then we start to chirp. You know, there are certain things in our head. You know, these are just thoughts of mine that I have. I have to be remembered of Job. Job had a pretty tough life in the Bible. For those of you who are not familiar with Job, I'll give you the very abridged version. Job was a very well-to-do man. He was very wealthy. He had a beautiful family, a lot of children. And then on the other side of the board, here is God with the heavenly court. And at that time, Satan, you know, wasn't the devil that we know, you know, but he was basically the one who reported back to God. So God says, so what's going on in the world? And, you know, Satan being Satan, you know, before he was cast out, is just like, well, you know, it seems like everything's fine for everybody that you bless, you know. And so God said, you know what, I'm going to hedge my bets on my creation. He said, have you looked at my servant Job? You know, he fears me. He is a man of good heart. He does all this stuff. And Satan says, well, of course he has. He's blessed. He has everything. Why wouldn't he be in a good mood? I mean, can you imagine waking up to your property, sunny, 80 degrees, you have $1 million in your bank account? Of course! It's going to be like, this is a great day. You're not, people like, you know, who know they're blessed are not going to say, oh no, my, you know, diamond shoes are on too tight, my wallet's too small for my 50s. You know, they're gonna say, of course we're blessed. And you give it all to God, yea, God. And God says, go ahead. Take it from him. Well, Satan happily obliged. Took his property, his servants, all of his children were killed, everything was gone. And Job still blessed God. And the chirping and came from his wife.
I like it.
And not that you would ever
No.
do that. No. As a matter of fact, you might do that. And she says in Job 2:9, you know, just curse God. Curse him. Curse him and die. And I don't think it's in the physical sense, but in the spiritual sense. Separate yourself from God, because obviously this has happened because it's God's fault. And Job said, foolish woman. Not you two.
I should not be sitting
No,
here.
you know, you're lucky you sat in the center. Foolish woman, shall you receive the good at the hand of God and not receive the bad? You know? And that's really. And then you go back even to Isaiah, and he's prophesying about Christ. He's saying, surely he has borne our infirmities and carried our diseases. So that tells me God has got this. Now, we can't be stupid about the thing, because God, you know, to me, the relationship between God and Job was he hedged his bets. He didn't say, you know, Job, make sure that, you know, when your wife says this, he said, I have faith in my creation. They're going to be okay. So, I don't know anything about that?
That's great. Well, and that's what we are into right now.
Yeah.
We have to have faith that we're going to get through this craziness of this coronavirus and everything else, because we've got God on our side. And it sounds simple, but,
Yeah.
but it's not easy to get through. So But that's bottom line. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Having faith.
You know. And right now we're in, I don't know, really this is about week 1 of the pandemic where it really is. But it's new news. Now when it starts to wear on us, the economy starts fluctuating a little bit. You know, the kids are home for a little bit longer than we'd like them to, you know. And worse yet, here's the one thing that people are looking to other countries
Right.
and saying, that's what's going to happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it very well could be, but, you know, the only thing that at least I know that I'm sure for is that good or bad, for as much as people think that God is this ruthless, feckless thug or the savior of grace or whatever, he always keeps his promises. He always says what's going to happen. He says, this is what's going to happen. You may not like it, but this is what's going to happen. And he has promised us that we are loved, we are going to be together, he will never leave us, even in the darkest of times, which may be right ahead of us. So, and the other thing is he gave us each other, you know, and that's the one beautiful thing about social media is, you know,
Still connected.
if you're afraid to go out into the world,
Right.
it's fine, you know, we need to have that connection. We're human beings. We weren't meant to be alone. Even in Genesis, when Adam was walking in the glory of the Garden of Eden, right, God was with him. Hey God, good morning, how are you? Oh, it's wonderful. I like what you've done with the place. He still said, thank you, Mom. You know, God still said, this guy's alone. It is not right for him to be alone.
He's
So-
a cat. He needs a cat.
He needs
He needs
a
a
cat.
cat.
He needs a cat to run out and cause incredible pain to his owners. Because everybody knows cats are jerks. No, I was kidding. I'm kidding, Mom. I'm kidding. So, you know, it kind of jogged. It kind of made me think. So, okay, we don't know what's next. We have our faith. We have bread, breath, and life. Trust me, we have bread, breath, and life. Lots of toilet paper, you know. I don't know about you. I went to Kroger. I went to Kroger the other day. 14 people deep, you know, on each island. So I thought, you know what? I could either look at this as an incredible inconvenience and just a sign of fear, or let's be the hands, feet, and ears of God. And, you know, here's the one thing about our society, church. We may be the only Bible that people know. You know, we need to reflect God's love to all people. So, yes, and to serve and not be served. Yes, that's true. But we need to reflect God's love to all people. So, that's what you do. Let me tell just a personal story of mine. I don't know if you have any personal stories, but I'll go ahead and do it. You know, I was in Kroger, 14 people deep. And these people are working. I mean, they are not just like, oh, hums, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're like, you know, just scanning, you know, get them out of here, you know, just. And so I could not have been in a worse aisle than the chip and cookie aisle. I couldn't have been. I know. Type 2 diabetes. So, I couldn't have been in a worse aisle. So there's a guy right in front of me, and we're just kind of, and I see this guy kind of, he kind of keeps looking, keeps looking at the Cheetos, right? He keeps looking at the Cheetos, and in my head I'm like, he's gonna grab those Cheetos.
You know, the last Cheetos?
No, they weren't the last Cheetos. No. We may have words, possibly in events. Because toilet paper and Cheetos is what's going to help America. So he looks at it, and then he looks back at me. I'm just like, you know, whatever you got to do, dude. You know, we're all going to get through this. You know, and so he grabs the Cheetos. And he puts them in the. Yeah, good for him. And you know, I told him, good for him. And we go up a little bit, and here am I, going, And he's looking back. I'm like, were you thinking, gee, I haven't had Cheetos in a while? He goes, yep. And I go, I grabbed the Cheetos, I put them in the bag. And we had that moment. This guy I never would have met.
Right.
I never would have met if we would have been stuck in the Cheeto aisle. But there was a moment. It wasn't a groundbreaking moment. It wasn't a come to Jesus moment. Maybe it was. It was a moment between two people that were in the same circumstance, whether it was a long line or in coronavirus or whatever it is. We shared a laugh and it was funny. Fast forward, I'm seeing daylight. I'm like, I passed the test of the Cheetos.
They put that next to the broccoli, don't they?
Not even close, man. Broccoli was aisles away. You know what's funny? The broccoli wasn't even touched.
That's not by you.
Couldn't find an Oreo, couldn't find a roll of toilet paper, hand sanitizer gone, broccoli, full bloom. So
I did have a moment.
Did
in
you?
the car
Okay, go ahead.
in Waterville.
Okay.
The product that I needed was top shelf way back because of course that I had to have it for what I was going to make. And everybody was trying to stay far away from each other. You know, I knew nobody else there. Everybody was staying far, and I'm like, I can't climb these shelves. It was not climbable. So
Sorry.
a man,
Go ahead.
A man walked by,
Okay.
tall, and I said, "Excuse me," nothing at first, and I said, "Excuse me," and then he looked, and I said, "Can you reach that?" And he said, "I think I can," and got it for me. And I thought, well, that was really nice of him because. You don't want to get close to each other.
Right,
I couldn't
right.
get it. I needed it, and it was a moment. I thought that was a nice moment. That It's like this is going on, but we are still people, and we still help each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. Went to Costco. Guy was putting his car. I go, I'll take that card from you, sir. He's like, I didn't have time to wipe it down, and I said, we're all in the same boat, aren't we? He goes, you got it, brother.
Yeah.
So, and of course these are the beginning stages, in a couple weeks it may be different.
Right.
But here's the thing, you can't plant the seed today and expect the harvest tomorrow.
Right.
You can't. You can't plant the seed today and expect the harvest tomorrow. So if you show somebody just a little bit of kindness, a little bit of compassion, a little bit of, you know what, you are not alone in this, let's do it. So fast forward, I run into a friend, hey, how's it going? I'm pretty good, I hear you have 3 weeks off, Dax, you're teaching. So, somebody behind me says, are you a teacher? I said, yeah, so the public schools. I teach at Riverside Elementary, 22 years. I teach at Rossford, and we shared stories. It's like, oh, what is your plan for, your kids still learning during this? What did and I got ideas off. She goes, well, what do you teach? I go, I teach music. Oh, I think that's great. My daughter takes clarinet. Blah, blah. Oh, where did she go? Oh, and it just, and then we get to the front of the line, it's like, I could have sat there and brooded about how bad this was. This sucks. I can't believe, nobody, wish I had more broccoli. It's just, and I could have sat there and just let it eat at me. Or, God may have said, this person needs a kind word. Or, Dax, it seems like you need a kind word. I'm going to put this person right here in front of you. So it's, and these are stories now that we're telling on a Sunday. And, wow, we're up to 20 people. Good job, Facebook Live. So, and this is our experience we get to share about our community. I know not everywhere in the world is going to be the same as us. But I implore you, church, it's going to be okay. We are the hands, the feet, and all those dates I just read, they thought there's no way we're going to get past this. There's no way we're going to recover from it. So, of course we all have to do what we have to do in the meantime, but, we can heal. We can start the healing process even if we don't know what the virus is. Our Bishop Oki, sent out a sermon, and I like chunks of it. I'm just going to read you some of the stuff that he wrote. He was talking about what is healing, and it goes back to kind of the lady with the hemorrhage. He says ultimately healing is being restored to the way God created us, body, mind, and soul. It is to be made over in God's image. No sickness, no brokenness, no sin, whole. The same powerful spiritual hands which formed the world and the first humans come to restore, rebuild, make new, and heal us. I think it's really nice. I really do. I like the fact that even after all these crises, if we get back to normal, or the new normal, whatever that is, there's still work to be done. It's not like, oh, I've done this, so now I don't have to do that ever again. So, and he goes on, he says, what is the purpose of healing? Some of the purpose of healing is for us to witness the power and love of God. When we are healed, it makes us want to fall in love with our Creator and give Him glory. I like that. But I believe it is also so we can work, live, care for, serve, and love others in His name. It is to use our new body, our better health, and live a life that is fulfilling, productive, and reproductive for our families, our church family, and the kingdom of God. Another purpose of healing is to help our faith grow and believe God is in control, loves us, and wants to heal us. Any thoughts on that?
Well, the whole basis of Christianity, in my feeling, is faith. We have faith in something that we can't see, but we know it's there, we feel it. And that's what we're going through right now. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We don't know what next week's going to bring with this whole pandemic and craziness that's going on. But we can still have faith. We can still have faith in that God is going to be with us in that next journey. Whatever it is. So that's what we as Christians need to really tighten our belts a little bit and say, I've got more faith now than I did a year ago, because even though it's troubled times,
And even if it gets worse before it gets better.
and it will, it probably is going to get worse. But we as a church family need to have faith and say that God is going to be there, and He's going to get us through that. And it's not going to look the same a week from now, a month from now. I guarantee it won't, because I'm going crazy without NCAA basketball.
Yeah, you know what?
I tell you what, I'm going crazy. And baseball is supposed to start, and my favorite time of year. But I know whatever that looks like, God's going to be with me, and He's going to help me through this whole mess, and He's going to help all of us through this. So we just need to remember that through, even though it's different, God's going to be with us.
I agree.
It's a good way. Darrell, it's one of those things where it's just like, it just seems like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Bowers, how you doing? Dave Bowers, we're Facebook Live. How you doing?
Morning.
Good morning.
He's just changing.
We're good?
He's just changing light bulbs.
You know what, Dave Bowers, I'm telling you, he's gonna be like fourth in line to
He's the best.
Yes, he's awesome.
That Bauer
All
family.
right.
Well,
Thank
Tracy
you.
too.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a nice muffin basket. So, yeah, it's crazy how the one important thing, especially for myself, is I will not profess that I know what God's plan is. I just know that God has one. What is it? Well, it is the fact that He sent His Son, Jesus Christ, for the redemption of mankind. And that's the bottom line. It really is. And the people who do not have a relationship with God, well, I don't have a really good relationship with God. Well, the thing is, you're counting on yourself. And the thing is, how many times can you really count on just you? You know? And the thing is, I know I can't count on me. Good Lord. You should read my new book, how to lose 2 pounds in 3 easy years. I can't count on myself to get motivated sometimes, but I know that there is a plan, a purpose, and stuff. I don't know what it is, though. That's the beauty of faith. And God, if there's any time we needed sports, it's now.
It's now.
But, you know what, I can understand where, you know, we have to look beyond that.
Right.
And we have to look at the people. I saw a story where these people who are working the venues, you don't work a venue, you don't get paid.
Right.
And the players have decided, you know what, these are the guys and girls behind the scenes that are sweeping, you know, keeping the courts clean, keeping the lawn raked, keeping the grass cut, keeping the sand traps, whatever. You know what, these are the people that help make our money. So it's time to give it back.
Mm-hmm.
And there are plenty of people in the world of sports that says, you know what? And people who may not have a relationship with God, but you know, they're doing God's word, you know, and work before some people who profess that they know what God's work and word are going to do. So they're saying, you know what? I'm going to help this person out, you know, and that's the still small voice. That's what's happening. It's not in the eruptions. It's not in the earthquakes. It's not in the fire. It's not in the thunder. It is in that small voice that says, you know what? This guy who sells Cokes every Sunday has a wife and family, and one of those kids probably has something that's really wrong. And he needs help. And until you just stop looking at all the sky is falling, the stock market is crashing, the this, that, and the other thing, you know, make sure that you count on this and buy as much toilet paper as you can. Once you look past that, there are human beings that God is saying, help that person. You know? And it may not be financially, it just might be a word. So the bishop gave us three categories. And once again, we're coming up here on the top of the hour. It is March 15th. My name is Dax Rice. The temperature outside is 35 degrees. So, sorry, I grew up on radio and I feel like I should. Yeah. We're going to be right back after these words. No, the bishop basically said there are three ways that God helps to heal: physical, mental, and spiritual. I just want to kind of talk about the physical healing. This is what he wrote. This is from our Bishop, United Methodist Church, Watershed District, Scott Oakey. Most of us have experienced this physical healing in one way or another. To see a cut on your arm stop bleeding and eventually not know it happened is physical healing. More seriously, I know people who were given hardly a chance to live but are still alive today. I think we all have that story. You know? I know others who seemingly should still be alive but are no longer with us. I have been to surgeries where the doctor diagnosed a tumor, but there was none. We all believe that God simply healed that person miraculously. Surgery, medicine, the work of doctors, nurses, counselors are sourced by God. And we believe that. These people or practices do not heal themselves, but are some of the sources God uses to heal today. Any thoughts?
God bless the medical workers for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're out there around people, around this, you know, so I mean, they don't get snow days or they don't get, you know, time off. They are out there.
And they're
doing
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
work.
cut you off.
No,
Go
they're
ahead.
doing that work, doing God's work.
Yep, thank you.
No, I got nothing. I got nothing.
Well, I you know, I always get related through by stories, and it reminds, you know, I think humanity, you know, sometimes we have blinders on. There's a story, some of you may have heard it, and I may have told you. It's about the man in the river, and he's in his house and he hears that the floods are coming, and there's a radio report. Right, you've heard this, Dan? So there's a radio report. And so the floods come, and he goes to his roof. And these people come rowing by in a boat and saying, hey man, we got room on our boat, come on in. And he goes, no, I'm a man of faith, God will save me. And so they row away. And next comes this helicopter. They put down a ladder to like climb up. The rivers are coming. You know, and he says, I'm a man of faith. God will save me. So they fly away, excuse me, and the rivers come, the man drowns, and he dies. So when he gets to heaven, he demands an audience with God. Can you imagine that? He demands an audience with God. So God comes. And he goes, God, I am a man of great faith. I have prayed to you, I have tithed to you, I've spread the glory of your Son. How could you have let this happen? And God looked at him and said, I sent you a weather report, a boat, and people on a helicopter. What are you doing here? So it's kind of like one of those things where God has blessed us with the tools, the people, and the know-how, and yet there's still people drinking bleach. You know?
Yeah.
They don't, and then they get to heaven and go, what happened? He's like, idiot! You drank bleach. Come on, get in here. But that's just how I feel about certain people. I think that I'm certainly not smart enough to be a doctor. As a matter of fact, I can't even hold the tweezers in operation, right? So, it's just, I don't put all my faith in the doctors. I believe in the God behind the doctors. And when those doctors, when they run into the fire, when they run into the storm, when they run into the virus, that's God saying, you know what, you have to do this. And even if they don't have a relationship with God, they do it. And sometimes the streets of heaven are too crowded, they can say. And God bless them for it.
What's that?
Mentality, or mentally. I suffer from gout. It's horrible. It's horrible.
That's more than I needed to know.
Sorry, yeah. You know what? And I thank you for that. Compassion. I'm going to direct all my thoughts to Terry now.
Cheetos will take care of it.
Cheetos.
There's stuff in Cheetos.
Just saying.
For the people who are still on Facebook Live, we thank you for sticking around. My best friend Zane also has health problems. He has problems with joints, he has problems with stuff like that. And the thing is, and all of us, when we have that, or we have a sickness or something else like that, if it lasts a long time, it's just like, oh, when is this going to be over? I've done everything. I've taken the medicine, I've, seen the doctor, I've taken the painkillers, blah, blah, blah. People are praying for me, and yet it still hurts. This lady who has been affected for 12 years with hemorrhaging was just so desperate and said, I'm not even going to talk to the guy. I'm not even going to talk to Jesus. I'm just going to get as close as I can and hopefully just touch his garment. I mean, that's just how desperate she was. She pushed past through everybody, probably through years of pain. Pain she probably was just like, oh man, yesterday it hurt, today it hurts worse. And just grabbed onto his garment. And I can contest with that. I will do anything to take this pain away. When I got divorced, when I went through my divorce, I would have done anything in the world to take away the pain. Anything. And there were a lot of people who helped me out. A lot. It just throbbed. It throbbed. I mean, there were some days, and some people may have gone through the same experiences, where my body just shut down. It just said sleep, and I slept, and that was it. The bishop says low self-esteem, depression, mental disabilities can be healed. I think the woman with the 12-year blood flow must have been affected mentally. Her outer illness was physical, but how that must have affected her mentally, she must have been, and here's something, she must have been embarrassed constantly, I know after a certain amount of time where I'm limping, probably, and sometimes it lasts for days, not even weeks, people are just like, Yeah, at first they're very kind. What can I do for you today? And then after a while they're just like, you're still not over this? And then after that it comes to, well, you know what you should have done. We call that Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
As being Ohio sports fans, we're pretty good at that, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Go Browns, go Bengals. She must have been embarrassed. She must be deemed unfit to society. Unclean. Let me ask you a question. The people who are going to contract this virus, when we do finally get to a point where sometimes it says that we may be, I believe in South Korea, they're having drive-up tests.
Mm-hmm.
And they're swabbing, and then 4 hours later, you gotta eat it. The people who have this, and even the people who have it now, who are they now?
Mm-hmm.
You know? What can we do for them now?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we can't do anything that I know of medically.
Right.
But what do we do? Anyone?
Well, the power of prayer is huge.
Yes.
The power of prayer is huge, and whatever else we can do, but the power of prayer is huge. We have a great healer out there that is watching over us, so that's what we need to have faith in.
Like we said before, social media, a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are people. And again, it's just it's really, you got to dissect through the news between the fear and the love.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things are these people in nursing homes.
Right.
You know, they're affected the
Right.
most. You cannot.
And if you need something, at least we can talk to them by,
Right.
like you said, phone.
The phone call. There's some people who are literally, you know, the window is here, and they're having a picnic
Mm-hmm.
just to keep these people
Right.
comfortable because they feel so isolated.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And the thing is, and I'm in a Monday morning quarterback, can we learn from this, please? Can we now say, you know what, once this is over, those people are still isolated in some respects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a grandmother, we could only see her once a week. We could only get up there once a week, but I made sure that we, at least a little phone call.
Right.
You know, or
Right.
something. That's,
Sure.
to be alone is the most horrible thing.
Somebody's thinking of you.
Yeah.
Somebody cares about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, check in with those people. Spiritually, this is where I'm gonna kind of lean on you, man, because I want you to talk a little bit about Stephen ministry. You know, I received Stephen ministry help and care over this past year. It was wonderful. I know that for guys, there's a stigma that we just kind of gotta
Sure.
toughen up and get through it. But you know what? It's one of those things where it's like, to be alone in thoughts and you gotta be this, and your dad told you have to be that, and and get over it, quit your crying, and rub some dirt in it, and you know, and stuff like that. Could you, as a Stephen minister, could you just kind of tell us about the spiritual side of things?
Well, I think we all go through periods of times in our lives that we need to reach out to someone else. And that's what we as Stephen Ministry, Terry, myself, and the other 8 of us do. We're there, and we're not the care, we're not the person that's gonna actually provide all the care, but we're gonna be
We're the
ears.
listeners.
We're gonna be the listeners. We're gonna hear what that person says.
We're not
So,
therapists.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're not therapists, we can't give professional advice, but boy, we can sure be there on a weekly basis with someone. And that's a lot of times what people need. They just need someone to sit with them and listen to their issues. We're gonna have a lot more of that after this coronavirus pandemic is over, whenever we get to that point, because people are gonna go, now what? I've
Right.
gone through this isolation, I had self-quarantine or whatever it was for a long time. We're gonna have more people that are gonna need
And we
that.
try to help them open up so that they can get whatever's inside
Mm.
out.
Right.
So it isn't what they want to talk about, but what they almost kind of should be talking
Right.
about.
We'll help them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, because you gotta kind of dig in there and get that infection. out.
Asking a lot of open-ended
Right,
questions
right.
to try to help them express what is really happening.
Right. And this is over a process. This
Right.
can be,
Yep.
you know, it's, you know, I went from weekly to bi-weekly.
Mhm.
Sometimes I went back to weekly.
Mhm.
Sometimes it was monthly. It is a wonderful opportunity here at First Church. And you don't even have to be a member.
No,
No.
absolutely
You
not.
don't even have to be a member. These people they've been, you guys went through a rigorous amount
Oh,
of training.
boy, did we.
I mean, it was like,
And actually, we still are. We're still going through
yeah,
continuing.
you guys don't stop.
Yeah.
You guys get together and they talk anonymously. How do we do
Right,
and
right.
and the
No
focus,
names.
right? No name. And the focus of the whole thing is in the prayer piece.
Right.
You know, we may not have through our experiences what we should be doing, but we know that when two or more are gathered in His name, He's here, and we thank God that you are. Now, let's work. You know, and I think it's great. You know, I hope that after, you know, I want to say after my life calms down and I'm retired like somebody.
It's a
And
good,
then,
it's a good gig. To be
you know,
retired.
it is just a blessing. And I don't think that in my process of, you know, I went through a very intensive process of really redefining who I am, how I'm going to. If I didn't have that peace, you know, it's like the man who built his house on sand.
Sure.
Yeah, I may have a great house, I may have a great life, I may have all that stuff, but if I don't have that great foundation, you know, I'm gonna sink.
Sure.
And thank God I had Stephen Ministry and Stephen Ministers, so thank you
Good
guys
to hear.
for
Good to hear.
doing that. You know, one thing that we need to remember, and I know it's tough because we are, let's face it, we all have our egos, is that one of the most important words in the church is, in Jesus Christ's name, you are forgiven. And a lot of us go, for what? You know, I'm a good person. I provide for my family. I put myself through school. I've been down in the muck. I've done all this. Now, come on. All right? Now, we're not pointing fingers here. Trust me. Trust me, we are not. But we know through our community of believers that we need to have that grace and forgiveness that you need a visual reference to clean it out. And it may happen over and over and over again. We just, what was it, last week? It wasn't forgive your brother 7 times. 70 times 7.
Yeah.
You know? So you keep forgiving, and that's even hard. That's hard for us. Because sometimes I know that, you know, there are people who say a certain word. And it's like that one little pebble that hits your windshield, right? It just
Trigger.
it's like, oh crap. We need that. Because without a clean heart, without a clean soul, without a clean mind, we can compromise other people. And it may not be the virus. It may not be coronavirus. I was talking to these guys before. It may be the virus of sin. And if we don't clean that out, we're just whitewashed tombs going to other people. Just infecting, even worse than what is going to happen before. Because here's the thing, through all those events I just told you about beforehand, God and sin, the eternal battle for our souls has been happening. Through stock market crashes, through assassinations, through crusades, through Corona, it's been happening. And that's what's going to keep on happening. So what are we going to do? Are we going to armor up? I am. You know, I'm going to armor up, and I'm going to ask for forgiveness every single day, and say, well, now that that's out of the way, God, now, how do I let my heart speak without my mouth getting in the way?
Good.
Yeah.
Good question.
So, yeah.
I'm just, to sum it up, I'm just amazed that after this session, that the shortest guy in this room is still whining about no basketball.
Yeah. Well,
This is where the rubber meets the road, right there.
I just got insulted by called the shortest guy in the room.
now,
Can we just end this today?
yeah, we're now I know how Phil Donahue felt in some of his things. We're coming up at the end of our thing, but we
Thank
just
you. goodness.
we just want to say, thank you. Thank you for hearing this. I wish, I could give you words to wrap up these thoughts, but I don't think I want to. I think it needs to continue. Next week, I believe Darrell?
I am, yeah.
Darrell's going to be with us. He may reconsider this format. He may just say, I'm just going to do it myself. I really don't need all this stuff. No studio audience, just me and the kids. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We're gonna keep on keeping on, and we're gonna keep the lights on in the church, and know that you are loved. There isn't a darn thing you can do about it.
That's right.
Right? Just a couple of very brief announcements, and then we're going to get going here. Here it is. The Listening Post event that was supposed to take place at Grace Church at 4:30 p.m. has been canceled.
Yes.
I was supposed to lead a sound booth training session that has been. It will be rescheduled. As far as teen, kid, and youth group, we're not exactly sure. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep that Wednesday night group going. If anything changes, make sure you keep your emails open. Check us out on social medias, on our various platforms. You can find us at perrysburgfirst.com, and also I hope I got that. Is it Perrysburg First Church?
Perrysburg.
Hey, Google us at Perrysburg First, and you'll be able to do it. Like I said, completely unprepared.
Dan,
Yes.
no food for Wednesday night.
Oh, and make sure you feed your kids.
Yeah, if we have it,
There won't be no food.
Okay, if we have it, there will not be food, so make sure that you feed your kids. Our mission team has put together a week of service for the whole congregation that is on the books for April 27th to May 2nd. There will be service opportunities during that day, in the evening, and on the weekend to allow us as many possible to participate. There's a table set up in the lower narthex and sign-up sheets for the event and bins to collect donations. The week will finish up with a church-wide service and project on Saturday, May 2nd. We will be working with Sleep in Heavenly Peace to build 36 beds for kids in our area who do not have a bed. It's so sad in our country this day. We hope that, you will all participate in this week of service. Okay, and we got to talk about our construction. A little bit about what's happening in our building. Due to the extent of the construction needed to replace the outdoor concrete, the large tree by the patio area will be removed. There is a good chance of permanently injuring the tree during construction, and the extent would not be known for a few years. Waiting to remove the tree could potentially cost more damage to the new concrete. At the completion of all exterior construction, a landscaping plan will be put in place that includes new trees. So that's all I got for announcements. Let me just say, the church office will be open Monday, Wednesday, Friday during normal hours. Tuesday and Thursday we will be shut down, but Melissa McGirt will be working from home, and so we will still be here to serve you, not to be served. Let me just kind of wrap it up with one more little story from a guy you may know him, Terry Powell.
Yes.
We've heard rumors about him. One story that always stuck with Terry is a little boy in a farm community. They were going through a terrible drought, and a little boy asked, "Can we have an extra service to pray for rain?" And he said, "Absolutely." And he said, "We'll have it tonight." The pastor said, "Everybody, we're going to come to service. We're going to pray for rain, but we're going to have it tonight." And everybody came, but the little boy was the only one who brought an umbrella. We need to get together and pray. Either it's on social media or just with a couple of dear friends.
Pray for Dan Packer.
And we
Yes.
again, Dan Packard, we said at the beginning of the thing, we are praying for him, and and the strength of the medical community. Now, there are people who've been out for a long time, so you know, this is something that we don't know. We don't know, but we know that there is an end game, and the end game's God, and we're gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
Amen.
So
Okay. Amen.
for all of us here at Harrisburg First, Terry and Darrell Gill, my name is Dax Rice. We hope to see you next week. We will be broadcasting again on Facebook Live. Please make sure you check out our social media services. There's a YouTube channel. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Everybody, please have a blessed day and be safe out there.
Are we done?
We're done.
We're done.
This is the
Good job.
longest service for the smallest congregation.